All right. Hey, look, we'd like to start just and wish Coach Davey a speedy recovery up there at UNM. I know that's a tough, difficult thing that he and his family are going through, so we just send them our best wishes. Coming off Saturday's game, really, there were some good things in the game as far as individuals that played really well and that did things that we had seen in camp and things that I think will enable us to be a good team. Roy Lopez had a phenomenal game. It was really impossible for them to block. Xander Yarborough, that was a really good move for us, putting Xander at defensive line. You know, he made some plays for us too that were really things that we hadn't seen before as far as having a speed rusher that could do some things. So I thought those two things were positive. Our wide receivers, you know, really played pretty well. Josh played very well. Offensively, the only complaint I would have is the turnovers. But therein lies our problems from the game was the self-inflicted wounds of beating ourselves again. That's what was so disappointing from the game. Offensively, it was just the turnovers. That's, you know, one, we're going in to score and we fumble in the end zone going in. I mean, you know, that you just can't do those type of things and be a good football team. So that's what we've got to fix. Defensively, we still had too many missed alignments, and when you miss a line, then you're going to miss an assignment, and then you're going to give up a big play. And that happened repeatedly, particularly in the back end. Our secondary did not play very well at all, and we didn't tackle very well in space. So those are, you know, things that we wanted to correct from last year that just don't feel like we did yet, at least not in that first game. So we've got another opportunity against an even better football team this week to see if we can go and play like a winning football team. I'm not so much concerned with the score as much as I am us playing like a winning football team, meaning that we don't beat ourselves. And so we didn't get that done. So hopefully we'll get that done this week. Alabama, you know, obviously it speaks for itself. I mean, this is about as close as you'll get to playing an NFL football team. I mean, they look like an NFL football team. There's literally no weaknesses all across that team, and just ultra talented, really well coached. Obviously, you know, probably the best football program in the country. But it's going to be a great atmosphere for our guys to play in, something they get really excited about and prove to themselves individually that if they can play at this level, they can play against anybody. And I think it's an opportunity for our team to get better, and that, you know, if we can go out and we can take care of little things and play like a winning team against Alabama, then we can certainly do that for the rest of the season and have a chance to have a successful season. So those are things we're still working on. It's more about us than it is Alabama. We're just more worried about ourselves and how we play as opposed to who we're playing. So with that, I'll take any questions.
When you play these elite teams, do you find yourself, you know, calling things or making substitutions that probably you wouldn't normally make against, like, more of a similar type opponent?
I would say this, Jason. Whoever you're playing, if they have a dynamic edge rusher, you have to game plan for that. You know, you have to change your pass protections for that. So you're going to do things like that. Now, the problem with Alabama is they've got four of them up there. You know, if it's one guy, you can handle it, but they've got four, so it's a little bit more difficult. But, yeah, you try to do whatever you can do to help your team be successful. Offensively, it's, you know, get the ball thrown quickly. We're not going to be able to hold the ball very long throwing it. It's just that's asking the impossible from our offensive line. So you've got to change some things, but you don't want to get so far out of what you do that you don't get better as a team too. So, you know, like I said, we're just going to focus on ourselves, and we're going to try to get better at what we do, and also, you know, throw in some things that will give us a chance to be successful.
How do the players approach a game like this? I mean, a guy like Roy Lopez, for example, going to be going against guys that are probably first, second, third round NFL draft picks. So they see that as an opportunity to kind of give them a measuring stick, or how would you say the players are kind of approaching it?
Well, I think, yeah, that's exactly how they are. That's how I hope they're approaching it, and how I think they are. Is that, you know, you come to play college football to play against great teams and play against great competition, and the fun in college football is to prove that you can compete at a high level. You know, in high school it's fun just because it's games and the crowd and winning. In college, the fun is, can I compete at the highest level? And so that's where you are this week in particular. You know, you're going to compete against, you know, probably the best football team in the country, at least in the top two. And if you can do it there, then you certainly prove something to yourself about your own individual skills and your skills as a team.
You play one or two of these games a year. Is this Alabama team, though, the most talented from top to bottom? Like, I can't remember maybe a more loaded team that you guys have played.
You know, maybe with the exception of LSU that we played one year, yeah, I would say that this is. I mean, we've played pretty much everybody in the SEC, and with the exception of Vanderbilt, we don't seem to get them on the schedule. We play everybody else, but yeah, I would say that this is, you know, right there with that LSU team. I mean, it's a difficult task. I mean, you see Duke is a really good football team, and Duke is Coach Cutcliffe is an exceptional offensive football coach, and you know they scored 3 points. You know, it tells you about everything you need to know.
Coach, how difficult is it for you to know how good your team is when you've got two of the best teams in the country on your schedule to kick the season off?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tom, and it's something we've talked about and think about, and I look at all the time, and it is hard to know. We're overmatched in some instances, and these are obviously the two best teams we will play all year, and there's a reason they're ranked as highly as they are. So it's difficult. I think we'll know a lot about ourselves, you know, after the first 6 games this season, more than what we know right now. And we've still got a lot of tough games coming. I know everybody talks about the Power Conference games, but you know, even looking beyond this, it's San Diego State and, you know, Fresno State are two of the best teams in the Mountain West, and it doesn't get any easier. So this is going to be a difficult challenge for us all season long.
How do you say keep the guys up in a situation like that, especially as you look at kind of what happened Saturday and that sort of thing? How do you make sure guys know that, you know, the schedule, I mean, and I guess San Diego State and those type of games, Fresno State, are not exactly easy, but it lightens up at least a certain extent.
Yeah, I think, you got to show them the positives. I mean, there were a lot of good things that we did there Saturday. You know, Josh Atkins really handled Washington State's pressures really well. When he was hot, he got rid of the ball. Our receivers made catches. We made yards after the catch. We had opportunities to score more than we did. Like I said, we fumbled going in to score, another touchdown. So there were some good things there, and individually, and you have to show them that so they don't lose the confidence that, the overall score, throws at you. And at the same token, the goal is for me, and I know I'm thinking different terms than most people around here, but, my goal is that when we go play these Power Conference games, we can compete. And I came from East Carolina where in 10 years, we beat Miami of Florida twice. We beat South Carolina. We beat Texas Tech in a bowl. We beat Stanford in a bowl. And we were a group of 5 team. So it can be done, but, we're not there yet. And that's what we're trying to strive to get to, where we can be there and to where our mentality is that, we're not going into these games just to improve. We're going into these games to win. And, like I say, we're not there yet, but that's where I hope to get us one day.
You mentioned turnovers, and Josh played well. I thought the offensive line did better than maybe with 3 new starters, but 7 points. Were you expecting to score more against Washington State?
Well, I certainly was hoping that we would score more than that, and I believe we should have, Jason. We certainly should have had at least 14, like I say, with the fumble in the end zone, but we had a couple other opportunities to get scores too. So, yeah, I mean, that was disappointing. I was telling our offensive kids Sunday, because Josh was asking me, about East Carolina and how we won those games. And what I was telling him was we scored. We didn't care about what our defense did. We scored points. You got to score points to win games, especially those games. And that's where our offense has not gotten. 2017, we were kind of there, right? Arizona State and Arkansas, we scored over 30 in both those games. And Kentucky, yeah. So, we've been there a little bit, but we're not there to where we do it consistently. And this team hasn't done it yet. So, we got a few more opportunities, and like I say, we just need to get better. We need to get better today in practice, and we need to get better this Saturday.
How are you going to divide playing time on Saturday? Are you going to give some backups, or does it depend on how it goes?
Be just like any other game. I mean, we're going down there to win the game and play and succeed. So, we're going to play our guys and see if we can put a strategy out there and a game plan and execute it to the point that we give ourselves a chance.
Coach, you had a couple intentional grounding penalties in that first game, kind of out of character, really, for Josh.
Well, actually, Jack, I've been talking to Josh about not taking sacks. Last year we had, I think, 40 sacks or something on the season, which is way too many, and a lot of those were Josh holding the ball too long. So I'll take the grounding penalty over taking the sack any day. He's just trying to get rid of the football and was under some pretty good duress on those particular plays. So I was going to keep encouraging him not to take the sacks.
About the opportunity before, but the opportunity to play in Tuscaloosa and obviously a great college football community.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of the best atmospheres that you've probably ever played in. You know, I played at the University of Kentucky, but we never played in Tuscaloosa in my time at Kentucky, so it's my first time going there too. We played Alabama in Lexington when I was a player. It was actually Bear Bryant's last year as a coach. So it'll be a great environment. I mean, again, this is what you come to play college football for, is to play in places like this against opponents like this. And, you know, I'm sure it'll be one we'll remember.
Ever cross paths with Nick Saban or?
Not directly. You know, I was the head coach at Kent State, and Nick Saban is a graduate of Kent State, and Don James was his head coach at Kent State, a legendary Hall of Fame coach. And Don and I actually became pretty good friends in my time there, so he told me a lot about Coach Saban and things like that in our meetings, but I've never met with him directly.
Your opinion of him just from afar?
Well, I mean, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. You look at what he's done in college football, and not only at LSU and Alabama, but you know, look what he did at Michigan State. You know, and the Michigan State program was not an elite program when he got there, but it was when he left. And so I think that says a lot about what he does. And you know, he's got a specific plan that I really admire, and I think what you admire is the discipline that he has and the dedication that he has to stay with the plan no matter what. And that's what we are trying to do here, and it's different levels and different circumstances, but I think it's certainly something you can emulate. And yeah, I think he's, you know, obviously a great football coach, and he's a great representative of the sport.
You mentioned secondary, and obviously that offense is going to catch some passes, but I don't know, was it just a matter of Washington State finding gaps in the zone, or was it just were you guys stepping back too much?
Probably a little bit of both, Jason. I don't think, you know, our defensive backs played very poorly in that game. You know, we didn't compete for the ball. We didn't compete and break passes up. We just, you know, were playing like we were timid, you know, letting them catch it and then just trying to come up and tackle. I mean, you got to go compete and sit on routes and make plays. They do that in practice all the time. That's what I told our guys. I said, you know, you guys do this in practice all the time. You don't play like that in practice. So somewhere between practice and the game, there's a disconnect that we have to find the guys that can make that connection, and they're going to go out and play like they practice, because, you know, it doesn't matter how good you practice if you can't do it on Saturday and you can't show it up on Saturday. It doesn't matter. So we got guys that got to improve, certainly. And, you know, it was game one. We were playing a really good team. We'll see if we make some improvements here in game two.
How are you as far as Coach, how's the injury situation this week?
Yeah, Ken, it was really a positive. You know, we don't have anything glaring that's going to be real serious. There was no, you know, guys that are going to miss the season or anything like that. We got the normal bumps and bruises, but we came out of that very healthy, which, you know, means that we did play pretty hard. You know, if you play hard against teams like that, you know, you won't get hurt. It's when you don't compete at a high level and you play teams like that, you get more injuries. So we're pretty good on the injury front so far.